Who likes TCs? These guys do. Woohoo! This is about as fully embodying of a 2TC meta as you'll ever get. English versus Rus. One and all, welcome back to King of Dry Arabia. We've got an upper bracket series here between Marine Lord and Elyona, the first and second best player from France. Elyona, of course, with the Rus, and Marine Lord to the English. The English that he rates as basically OP. Whether it's on water or land, we know Marine Lord has a lot of praise for this Civ and its potency in competitive play. And so far, he is looking potent himself. A 2-0 scoreline in a best of 5. One game away from making it a clean shellacking. The question mark is whether Elyona can turn it around with one of the absolute pinnacles of competitive Age of Empires. Did Dark Age Men at Arms Rush die with King buff? I think in general, like, Dark Age Men at Arms Rush is just like too much of a gamble. Dark Age Men at Arms Rush felt like it would happen, A, because of water maps, but B, because playing Council Hall all-in was too predictable, not great. I think that still holds true here. Council Hall does not feel very viable against Rus, because Rus players can just basically defend themselves with a Kremlin, so you have no play, right? And you're on a ticking time bomb. And the problem is, when you play Longbow Council Hall, you have to attack them, right? And if you're attacking them, Militia inherently have more value. Longbows do somewhat counter, sure, but the logic is that the Militia are just an absorber for Knights and Archers to win. So I think we're probably looking at Abbey of Kings. Fort Spawn Stone may be exploitable, but unless Elyona gets a really good bounty haul and then rushes towards Feudal with a stable drop, he's not going to be able to stop a TC. And the race is already on. Elyona, how are we looking here? Hudden Cabin drops, 17 gold, not the best. He's trekking for what he needs, though. He's got enough gold. Notice it's not great, though. He's nowhere near wheelbarrow logic, so you're not going to see him at this pacing going for it. You could actually queue it up now. It's not the worst of ideas. And the logic is if you realize you don't have enough gold when tech's ready, you stop. But it looks like he just got kind of hard blocked, right? He hasn't got great sheep. Marine Lord has more. And Deer has been intercepted. There's one pack left over here, but Marine Lord brings both scouts over. Yeah, Elyona's going to have a bad time with the bounty. Marine Lord's like, it is the French way, as professional French players, to have 80 bounty games. Nah, this is slightly better, right? He got about, I'd say, 150, 160 bounty, but it's not great. There's probably 2 more wolves to make up for it, but it does mean you miss out on wheelbarrow. And... what? I'm not entirely buying what the point in this Kremlin is. I feel like I have to be being an idiot about something, because this feels like the most pointless Kremlin I've ever seen. Did he think it was a Council Hall play? It's the only thing that makes sense, but like if you think it's Council Hall, your woodline isn't safe. He can attack west. And before anyone says this protects the gold, like, okay, but why would you put it here instead of here? Because if you put this Kremlin here, it actually also starts to protect the stone. It protects the gold better, and it buffs the woodline inherently. I mean, Elyona has to have something in mind here, right? I'm just not sure what it is. The berries are not in range. The gold is not actually in range. The deer are already dead. The only thing I can think here is he wants to drop the TC here, and the Kremlin is here to protect that, so that when the king comes in, he can't dive you as you build the TC. That's the only reason I think you do this. But then, I think at that stage, surely the argument is maybe you just drop the Kremlin here. Because the king is still going to access the gold, if he wants to, right? The stone will be gathered quicker than the king will arrive. I don't know, man. I'm flummoxed by this. I think the Kremlin drop, for what I'm imagining, makes more sense here. Because then you can even just TC drop this deep. And then you get the wood line on the forward, you get the deer even closer. You even somewhat protect the berries. This is kind of a funky one. And it is going to be 2 TC from Marine Lord. So just the king coming. But remember, they nerfed the timing. The king would usually already be on his way. But now, like, you can start the tech up. You can start the TC, rather, before the king even reaches your base. Dude, I'm stuck on this detail. I can't shake it from my brain. This Kremlin placement is wild. Because if he drops the TC here, once again, the Kremlin comes back here, and this protects the fast castle. There is only one logical reason to do this, and it is the deer. Meanwhile, Marine Lord, love this. Goes out for his deer because it's free. And this is the thing, right? Like, Alyona going to TC, he's not going to open with his stables. He didn't get enough bounty. So it's a smart read. In a game where your opponent gets too much bounty, you probably can't go this greedy because he might have a knight on the way. Like, it's very popular when you have the surplus gold to open with a knight with the Rus to block your opponent's TC placement. But this is about as free as it gets. Moment of truth now. Alyona gathering on the wood. The king is going to try to be annoying here. Wait, can't... If this TC is meant to be placed here, can't Marine Lord literally just sit here? Which would make you have to drop the TC here. Which is a lot worse, actually, for the walk distance. I mean, he does at least have wheelbarrows, so it's not the end of the world. And he has got Spearman coming, so he should be able to get online. But, guys, the difference in timing here is brutal. Look at this. TC is going to be complete before you've even started yours. And, yeah, oh my god, this is so greedy. Once again, reminder, if the Kremlin is placed here, it still buffs the TC and the lumber camp, but it's also going to be able to protect this. Instead, he has to pull militia and build spears, which is very expensive. This is a huge difference. Marine Lord even diving to try and get the kill on the scout. Villagers are going to pull away pretty prematurely here. Nice micro. So Marine Lord gets a scout kill, forces a little bit of out of time, pulls away. This is going to be, what, a 2-villager lead, I think? It should be. Unless Marine Lord's skipping production, which doesn't sound like somebody would normally do. And we have at least got survival techniques on the way. Survival techniques hasn't come in yet for Marine Lord, so that will be a slight advantage for the Rus. But they kind of need it here. This is fucking opening. Can someone explain this Kremlin to me? Okay, no, I'm going to stop. I'm obsessive at this point. Kremlin is so OP, you don't even need to place it optimally. There we go. That's the thumbnail. That's the title. So, oh, you're not. It's going to move in to figure out what's happening on the other side. I'd love to see his stables drop and like 1 or 2 knights here. Make it 2. Double stable. I think Alyona is going all in feudal. So he's trying to block a fast castle timing from Marine Lord, but this is scary, guys. When you go on deer, you get a very quick tech timing. And he can drop a white tower between the 2 TCs to connect it. It protects the wood line, it protects farms around these areas, and it ensures that your opponent can't dive. Now, had Alyona not gone for Rack, Spearman opening, I think he has a timing to block that type of greed play. But because he did go Racks first, and his TC was later, I think Marine Lord could actually get away with this level of greed. He intended to go Golden Gate? Dude, like, why walk out? Okay, I'm just going to move on. We've talked about this enough. Let's focus on what Elyona's win condition is. Because I don't think it's here in Feudal. He's actually going to have to go Castle. These knights are way too late. Marine Lord might play it safe and add in spears, but I don't think you need to. Like, 1 king here can actually defend this against the initial knight timing. All he needs to do is buy time, right? And remember, it's deceptive how close he is to attacking, because a lot of these deer, you're up to 25 food, right? So he'll get like 1 drop off and he'll be there. First knight is at least on the way. Marine Lord. Maybe he does need a Rax. He hasn't manually dropped off, right? He could have been building right now. And there we go. Okay, it's ready. So white tower now on the way. I do wonder if he could have manually dropped off to make that a little bit quicker. You're probably going to lose, like, what, 1 or 2 villages here? Knights are now coming in. He can garrison. Undermesh isn't there yet. And there's the garrison coming through. And wait, what? Why is it a King's Palace? What? Dude, you're both confusing me, these landmarks, man. He's like, it's free real estate, XD. But it's not. King is now there to buffer this away. And there we go, the white tower. But unfortunately, a lot more defense than I think Marine Lord would like. The good news, though, he should be able to pump troops out quick enough to defend his secondary TC. This game. All right. I think you probably could have gotten away with the white tower here, by the way, which would at least link towards the TC. But he just wants it safe and done. So tech upcoming. Other side of this, Elyona's all in, man. He's going more ham than the pig he's now going after. This is relentless aggression. Soon to be 8 knights. If Marine Lord just starts pumping spears, drops her racks, Elyo's in trouble. Imagine if Marine Lord just ego chows with knights now. I feel like he's gonna. Yeah, he queues it up. So the logic of ego chowing here is you can cycle knights and heal them. And you have the attack speed buffer. You already have better stats overall. So greedy. It's kind of wild though, right? Because like, I think Marine Lord was scared rather about this TC placement. If instead of it being rack stables, it's archery range stables. Or stables archery range, right? Because that means the knight is there to scare you off the deer. And the archer follow-up leads into a ram play. But like, spear knights, it's raids, it's kind of annoying. And I think that's why Marine Lord was being greedy and trying King's Palace. I feel like it was a misclick, but the alternative is he just didn't care about raids because he might lose a little bit of eco, but free TC Eclipse too, right? And you'll eventually get a defense out anyway. First Monk about to hit the field, so it should be the safe relic grab straight away. I think Marine Lord's probably looking at this game and saying, okay, that's a lot of knights, there's no way you're rushing Castle Age. So I can just play this pretty chill. I don't have to contest mid relics, I can just play it safe and get better income. Marine Lords, you might be wondering why not just go Spears and counter this all. Spears opens up the opportunity for your opponent to counter you with archers, right? But if you just raw knights, you have the king. The king is going to be able to heal damage. So as long as you min-max, Marine Lord will always win this. Elyona just has to basically put everything into a constant feudal to even contest. And I think he realizes that's just not sustainable. So he's starting to save up for castle. Spearmen are now going to arrive. That'll be enough to scare Marine Lord away. But right now, you need to be doing damage, man. The other issue is by Marine Lord just sticking to Cav, he always has the ability to raid like this. Flank attack now coming in. Villagers are going to have to vacate the area. Looks like the boar is going to be protected with the Wooden Fortress. He is cycling towards there as well, but it's always just idle time that adds up. High Trade House should be the go here. You could try for Abbey of Trinity to try and contest relics, but I think you just need the long-term income. And to be truthful with your position on the map, to a certain degree, that boat has already sailed, right? You're expecting your opponent to probably get 3 relics at least. It's very hard to block that. 2 is a bare minimum. So, like, if it's not the potential for a 4-relic game, Abbey of Trinity just feels weird. Especially considering, like, you're giving up 2 relics worth of gathering on average. Because High Trade House hits that hard. So Knight's not going to back up. And you just can't fight him once he has the Network of Castles buff. Get your numbers in, though, guys. High Trade House looks kind of deflating, but funnily enough, these ones usually return, like, what, I'd say about 120, 130, which isn't too bad given his position in the game. Second relic going to be dropped in. Remember, Marine was already grabbing the third. If he can win the clash in the center, it's going to be a 4-relic game. Spearman count is decent, so, like, Elyona should be able to buffer this away. Abbey sucks when you don't have the archer ball. Yeah. Or spears. Like, I think spear archer. It's weird. I feel like the comp for Abbey of Trinity to be good for anything but relic rushing doesn't really exist because you very rarely see a Roost player rushing mass spear, mass archer. But that's the desirable comp, right? Because statistically, it's a notable increase in damage. +1/+1 just isn't much for Knight. Because the statistical improvement is not impressive. Because, like, even the armor, you might think it's great, but against archers, it doesn't really matter. And if your opponent has spears, +1 defense isn't going to make sense much against a unit that's going to hit you for 30 damage anyway. So it's very weird dynamics. I think Abbey of Trinity probably needs to be focused into a different landmark, maybe. I don't know, like, maybe not. I think the bigger issue is the way Feudal Age plays out for Roos. It very rarely makes sense for Abbey of Trinity. So maybe if Roos's early game gets changed, it will come back in. Knight cycle back, though. Love that. He tanks the King. King a lot more bulky than Knights and able to heal it off. Looks like he's going to go down, but it buys enough time. Fight in the center. Goes well. Marine Lord Neighbor hoping to push this back. the meantime, it looks like there was a grab for the Relic. Marine Lord now going to make it 4-1. Only one Relic that's feasible here for Elyona, and he's yet to even start grabbing for it. Big miss macro here as well. It's crazy that he's just queued up 7 Knights and 8 Spearmen and still has 1,000 food in reserve. Meanwhile, Marine Lord, never going to run out of food here. Mass wood converts. He loves doing this. We see Marine Lord do this all the time. It's kind of funny, like with a lot of civs, you need that much wood to make the farm transition. With the English, you get the 50% discount, right? So he's still floating an insane amount of resources. Nice chip damage here, though. Finds the villagers. That's all of them on the deer going down. Militia pull to react to this. A little bit difficult when you come this far forward with crossbows, but you should just be able to keep running away and turn around afterwards. Love that he's focus firing these knights, because that's the threat to the crossbows. Outside this, there's no real pressure coming in. Knights did try to clash on the back. Elyo, no... Wait, what? He's now going for a men-at-arms switch against mass crossbows. I guess the big problem in this game for Elyona is he doesn't have enough food to go for Horseman, even though Horseman is probably the #1 way out he has here. Maybe you could justify men-at-arms if it's Horseman men-at-arms, but that is a lot of food. In a game where you basically are about a minute away from having to do a complete farm transition. Right, he's got berries on the back. The deer is about to exhaust. He needs to start sticking a lot of people on wood. Yep, that'll do it. 30 villagers should be good enough. But at this point, Marine Lord can just go in. It's so stupid that English only use white tower to produce units. I know, I'm outraged too. Why are they not dropping a white tower on the enemy base? Calling Donati. We need to fix this. This is a pretty free Wingard game, by the way. Wingard and the Footman's kind of nuts here. It taps really well. Remember, Armor Clad works on them. Your opponent doesn't have many crossbows. You have more ranged armor and more health. Thus more effective HP on Footman. They're already an elite upgraded unit. They get bonus damage against cavalry. They deal with Spearmen easily. Like, yeah, this is the easiest Wingard Footman bat spam ever. Even Rangers potentially is kind of nuts. But he's already prepping the Armor Clad. Men-at-Arms are starting to be prepped as well. I guess he wants to play the Age. I think the logic is he doesn't want to give a recovery mechanism to the Rus, because the thing is, guys, you think English just win against Rus and Imp. Kind of, based on tech advantage, there's an opening window. But if you go mid-late Imp, Rus are actually favored. And the reason is that Streltsy plus Horseman plus Mangoes is uncounterable. English, if they build hand cannoneers, without the aura, they just can't beat Streltsy. And the Horsemen are more tanky, so they can fight you as well. Playing mass men-at-arms just doesn't work against Streltsy. And the one hope is Lombos to deal with Streltsy. But because your opponent has more Springwood range, you can't beat them in Siege. On like an even 50-50, the players are perfectly matched. So like for English, it's much better to try and end this in Castle when your eco lead is pretty substantial and your meta-arms are ridiculously bulky. That being said, I feel like either way this is going in. And the funny thing is Marine Lord could easily have an army bigger than Elyo with Imperial Age as well. 4 relics and a 25% buff to your gathering rate on farms kind of does that to an economy. What a civ. But at least you've got that 10% buff gathering rate, right? Smiley face. Yeah. Kind of a mild difference there. High Trade House was 121 in the end, so respectable. Let's set the speed up a bit. I think we inevitably see which age this is going to. I just want to see what Elyona's response is going to be. Marine Lord's starting to move out. I think this is too early for Elyona as well. He's still mass spears. I think he scouted this out, so it looks like we've got to transition to crossbows. But right now, if a big fight occurs, men-at-arms just win this. Bloomery also being queued up. Network of Citadels also on the way. Dash comes in. Elyona, not a good start with his army going around the wrong side of the tree line. MAA crossbow are in. The 6 melee armor here up against mass spearmen is pretty painful to deal with. Marine Lord is going to pull the crossbow slightly back. Knight count in the fight is already down to just 3. Second wave coming in, and that is a depressing military lead if you're a Rus fan. 37 to 76. I don't even know why he's going for that spear, but it doesn't even feel necessary at this stage. But to be fair, Marineland's so far ahead, he can pretty much do anything. It's a reinvestment into the Castle Age, and this is the breakthrough, right? Some players would go back and just go Imp now, but at this point, just send it into the enemy base. He's already in with the Knights as well. Hits the eco while Elyona's not looking. 20 villager lead at this stage. Main army on the way, and Elyona sees the writing on the wall. Marine Lord just so clean. I mean, his Ayyubids might be signature, but honestly, you've got to give this guy credit on the English as well. By far, one of the cleanest players. And ironically, on the other side of the 100-Year War.